Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another installment of the Pretending to be Chef Cantor, and this one is especially for Pesach. Even though all these recipes are good year-round, and some may argue that some of these versions of kosher for Pesach are actually tastier than the regular chametz one. And I'll tell you this, that when you buy a matzah, I ate the same matzahs for a year, and you know, it's tough to swallow. And a few years ago, I discovered that gluten in quantities doesn't do me good. So I bought the gluten-free matzahs. Day and night, the kosher for Pesach, the gluten-free matzahs are much better. So we are going to do three things, and they are very different. And we will start with the buikos. And the buikos, actually four things. The buikos is, you remember the burekas that we did last year? So this is the small cousin, and this buikos is going to be kosher for Pesach because we are going to use matzah meal, fine, better than the coarse one. And because in this it goes to the oven for almost half an hour. So we are going to start with this. So this is a very, very easy preparation. You just need to mix everything that is in the recipe. Before I do that, I always like to work with gloves. And the reason that I like to use gloves is because even if you wash your hands, there is usually a little bit residue, maybe underneath your fingernails or something. If you want to be as clean as possible, gloves. And the second bonus is that your hands don't smell. Now, I don't know if you remember that I used to use those gloves that prevent from cutting. You cannot cut your finger with that, but this is a little bit bulky. So I got these finger ones, and if anybody wants one, just send me a text, I'll drop one at your house. Usually you are cutting this finger, but I'm going to cover all my fingers because I'm excited, and with all this excitement, I can miss the spot and hit my finger. I don't want that. So I'm going to put that, and I'm going to slide my hand like this, and now I'm safe. So in this bowl, I'm going to mix everything that we have here. So we have here the feta cheese. We put the feta cheese in. I mean, this is a nursery school project, as a matter of fact. You add the cottage cheese. You add the yogurt. I'm going to take the calavis spoon. Tablespoon. So this is the yogurt. Then we add the mozzarella cheese. So as you can see already by the ingredients that you're putting inside this bowl, that everything here is tasty. Everything until now is very, very tasty. To that, we want to add one egg. Egg serves as a little bit fat agent, the smoothness and the protein. And we want to mix the matzah meal. So we have here the matzah meal, we have baking powder, and we have the salt. Oops. 1 second. So,
other side?
Other side, obviously, of course.
No, it's out. Sorry. It's out for the next recipe.
Here it is. Okay, so we wanted, what was it there?
It's half a teaspoon, yeah.
So you add approximately, let's make it exact. But we have here a little bit. I'm adding a little bit. This doesn't have to be very scientific. Okay, so in general, when we are mixing ingredients, we want to mix the dry first, the dry separately, and the wet separately, because we have all kinds of clumps here of the feta and the other things. And if you mix, especially the baking powder, really need to be mixed well. So I'm going to mix first the salt in the baking powder, and if you can see, you see on the baking powder, I have all kinds of chunks. This is not good. So this is why, again, another reason to mix it first. So I'm kvetching them with my finger covered.
We have a question.
Yes.
Because you had said fine matzah meal, but the recipe we sent says cake meal, the matzah cake meal. So
the same thing. That's what we want. It's the fine one, because there is a matzah meal that is actually much coarser. This is what I was growing up at home. This is what they had. So now you see there are no
So the
clumps
matzah
anymore.
cake meal, okay.
Matzah cake meal. You
Okay.
see there is no clumps anymore. Now I'm going to mix this with the flour, and I saw another one like this. And this one we want to mix well. I'm going to take a dairy fork, and I'm going to mix it in as well as I can. Again, as well as I can. With the fork, because the fork has those things in the space. Okay, so now this is it. And this, I want to mix with that. Now, you can, if you want, what you can do, I'm going to mix this, then I'm going to add the butter. You can do this in the mixer. However, a mixer is a little bit problematic in Pesach, to say the least. People don't think about it. I will talk later about it. We'll have time about how to kosher certain things and why we need to kosher certain things this way than others. But if you are looking, you know what, I'm going to do it by hand. That's one of the benefits when you have a glove. So we took the butter really almost last minute, and it was very, very hard. So what I did, we just laid it on the stove that was kind of warm before, so it worked. So I'm taking this, and I'm just kvetching the whole thing like that. And if you will try it, you'll see how much fun it is, because this is really like a therapy. It's cold, and it's very nice, and you have to work it in. So we were talking about the mixer. So a mixer, you can clean it from the outside, but what about the inside? Every time when we are using the mixer, flour gets all over the place, including inside. So if you want to kosher your mixer, you need to open it, literally, and clean the motor inside, get inside. This is why many people are getting a separate mixer only for Pesach, and we don't use mixer for Pesach, we do it by hand. And since we are going to make this again for Pesach, I am going to do it now, to do it the right way. Okay, so once we mix it, we really don't want to see any powder. We want everything to be cohesive as much as possible. And I'm going to use my both hands because the gloves are very cheap at Costco, and I don't mind changing both of them. Now, if I didn't have my gloves, then washing hands after doing this is a real torture, because the fat gets stuck in your fingers and it's very difficult. But as you can see, I'm also making a lot of mess here. But I promise that I will clean as good as I can. Okay, you see, it's a little bit here and there, a little bit powdery, so I really have to work it in. Now, if the butter, if you use, obviously you can melt the butter if you want. So if you melt the butter in the microwave, for example, and put it very, very like melted completely, then it will be easier to mix it. However, the dough will be warm, and you will not be able to create the shapes. They are going to be flat. So how you remedy this? You just put it in the refrigerator for an hour. You put it for an hour, and then it will be fine. Now, as I said to you before, this would be better and much, much quicker if you put the whole thing in a mixer. This I can guarantee. But this is a better exercise and is more fun. Okay, you see, we have the dough. We take it like that, and it's ready. And inside we have very, very delicious stuff. As you know, only good things here. Now, with this, you can be creative or you can go very simple. So, if you want to be simple, the simple way is just to make bowls. Just to make, bowls.
Balls.
So you take a bowl, you take a bowl like this, it's very easy, like a bowl like that. You can make it smaller or bigger, and then you cover it with oil a little bit, like that. Remember, relatively there is not a lot of oil, fat inside this. Well, I shouldn't say that, we have cheese and everything. So, and then this one we roll into this. That's it.
Sesame.
Sesame, right, of course. Now, if we want to be more creative, then the sky is the limit. What you can do, you can take olive, and olive, but these are huge olives, so I would not suggest to use these olives because they're very big. Then you take a piece of dough, a little bit bigger, something like that, and then you make a ball out of it. And again, this is very easy. You stick it inside like that, and you just close it. Anyone can do that. And then you have an innocent...
You have a surprise inside.
So you can put...
If you love olives.
Right.
If you don't.
If you love olives.
If you don't, you have a bad surprise.
Right. Or if you don't like the person that you're giving, you can put a nail inside and prick them a little bit, or a piece of stone. No. But you can go with anything you want. You want to put anchovies inside, you can put anchovies. You can put whatever you want. So this one is going to be a little bit bigger, obviously, because of the olive. But if we had a smaller olive, it would be quicker. And we make them like this. Let's make them quickly. I'll put some of them, and then we'll put them in the oven so we can see what came out of it. And look how quickly I'm making those. It takes very quickly. Take it like this, you put it like that. That's ready. Take another one. You make it like this. Veg it. Put it in oil. Cover it like that. This is another one. We don't need to make many. We just want to get the idea. So I'll make another, but I'm sure everybody in the house will want to taste them right away. So I'll make another, let's say 3. Okay, here is another one. And then we'll take another one. And as you can see, these are very easy, very kosher for Pesach, for anybody.
Great for breakfast.
Great for breakfast. And juicy, really, because you have good ingredients in there, and the cheese and the feta cheese, the whole thing becomes very, very good. You can eat it cold or warm or hot.
Cantor,
Yes.
Cantor, the original recipe said sweet paprika and Italian spice.
Option.
Yes. So as you can see, I have it here. This is optional.
Yeah.
So if you want, you can add. So this one is especially for you. My hands are with the oil, but
you add it as a coating, not inside.
You can do it either way. You can either, if you want, you can put it inside and then you change the color a little bit, which is, if you like the idea, but you can do anything. If you use spices and herbs, you really cannot screw it up, because it's just so minute in quantity relatively to the other ingredients. So feel free, whatever you like to add, you can add. Want to make it spicy? Very spicy, put cayenne pepper. You want a ghost pepper? Put ghost pepper, whatever that you want. I would suggest, in general, try to make them as unified in size as you can, because then they will all be ready at the same time and not will have one that is dry and one empty. Okay, so once it's ready, we take this and we stuck it in the oven we will take a look at it in 30 minutes. At 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Maybe 350, you have to check.
350.
Yeah, I think
it's 350.
Yeah.
Okay, so bake, you're right. Bake 350. Very good.
And press start.
Start is important.
Yeah.
1 second, I'm changing my gloves. Okay, so as this thing is in the oven, cooking, now we get to the second recipe. And if you thought that the first recipe was easy, then the second recipe is a little bit more difficult. but not by much. Thank you, Adas. So this recipe is for potatoes. There are a million ways to make potatoes. And the good thing about potato that you can really, it's difficult to make it not right. Potato is very patient. Patient is very patient, thing. Whatever you do to it, usually it goes well. However, you can make a potato nicer, tastier, with not too much more work. And I'll show you how. So first of all, take a look at this as I'm putting my gloves. And what you see here is a potato that was cut in a certain way to allow things to get inside, and then after it's baked, or I would say this is considered to be a baked good. I have a feeling that I threw the clean gloves and I put back the dirty gloves, but that's okay. So if you can look closer, you see they are separated, and I did it in a rush, so I didn't separate each one, but they are close at the bottom, and it's like a fan. This is a potato fan. Oops. And then if you use small one, you can put them individually in the plate. The good thing about it, every slice get the heat from the inside and out, and it becomes crispy. But how do you cut this potato? Not all the way to the end, because once you touch the skin, you're going to cut this potato. So there is a trick. You take two chopsticks. The idea is that once you put the potato on the chopstick, and even when you go with the knife all the way to the bottom, the chopsticks are lower than the potato. Therefore, when you cut it, you won't go down. Now, I found out when I do this that these are moving. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a tape, and I'm going to tape it like this. And I'm going to put, so for that you need a dry board, cutting board. I'm going to put another one here and another one here. Like that, and then I'll put one across like that, and one across like that. And now, as you can see, this is not going to move, definitely not much. And I put it like this on top of it, like that. Now, when I cut it, it doesn't go all the way to the end. See, I can go all the way to the end, but it doesn't go all the way to the end because the stick separates it. Now, you can do it as thin as you can. Look how thin I can cut it. This is very thin. If you have the patience, I can go almost paper thin. And if you broke one, for example, here I broke one deliberately, you see, broke, no problem, put it back with his friend, with his family. They all like each other. And we cut it. So I'm going to continue it a little bit fast and not as, what I'm doing, I'm pushing with this finger and resting on this finger with the index finger. Let's see. Okay. So you see, it's closed on the bottom, it's open on the top. And what do we do with that? Now when it's ready, we put it on this tray. And a potato without oil is really a little bit miserable. You do need to give it some fat because it's fat-free, and you do need to give it some fat. So for that, I'll take a brush, even though I don't have to. Here's another brush. There are many, many brushes. Right, so what we want to do, this is the oil. We don't need to use that much, of course. We won't. And to that, I want to add garlic. So I'm taking the garlic, and garlic is as much as you want. Everyone tasting garlic is different. However, in general, let me tell you that things that are cooked for a long time it really doesn't matter if you put even a lot of garlic, because when garlic is roasted, it becomes very, very muted. Very, very muted. So I'm putting a lot because we like garlic. And that's it. However, if you're doing a salad or something like that, then you definitely don't want, if you're doing a salad and you use fresh garlic, then it's going to be very, very powerful. So we have that, and we need to put some, we can add some herbs. So I'm going to take some parsley. We need our refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the parsley. We find it. I'm going to wash a little bit the parsley. Now, I'm using parsley because I waited for the last minute and I couldn't find what I needed. I wanted to use thyme or rosemary, but the parsley is okay. However, if you want better flavor, more powerful flavor, you want to use something stronger in flavor, like thyme or rosemary or something like that. So I'm cutting this. We don't want the stem. I don't like the stem. Who likes the stem? I'm putting it on another board. 1 second, a small board. Don't have, so we take a bigger board. Okay, put it like this. You know what? I'll cut on this one. So we take this, even though it's big. Take this, and we chop it as fine as we can. This is very little, so I'm going to add a little bit more. That's okay. I take this, a little bit more. Now you definitely want to wash parsley and cilantro because sometimes you have their sand really gets into your teeth and it's really not friendly. So we want to chop it, and it doesn't have to be that fine. And if you insist, you can use dry parsley or dry thyme. You can do whatever you want. We put it in. We mix the whole thing like that. And obviously, when you will do it, you don't do one potato. You do a few potatoes. Like this. Now, and of course, potatoes is not salty at all, so we have to add a little bit of salt. I would do, okay, obviously for one potato, I'm not measuring it, but for this amount of the oil, which is a lot, I would use between 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt, depending on what you want. I will put a little bit less than 1/2 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, depending on how salty you like it. I'm going to add some pepper. We like pepper a lot, and some paprika that we could use also before for the boikos. So we take this, we mix this. Now we want to brush it. So we take the brush and we just brush it from the top. We open it, we massage it, and depending how much we want to invest in it, I would say if you can go between each one, you're real righteous and a good person that take care of your guest and yourself. But if not, even if you open it like this and you do this, eventually it will go inside. See, if you don't put oil in between, it still will be open, it will be crispy. As a general rule, the less oil it will have inside, the more crispy it will be also. If you don't use it all, it will be much oil, it will be crispier actually. So we put it like this, and I'm putting it, and this goes to an oven at 400 degrees this time. And this one need to go for 1 hour in the oven. Again, not one potato, you do 4, 5, or 6. You put in the oven for 1 hour, and after 1 hour,
Covered.
you cover, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you put it covered for 1 hour, and after 1 hour, you take off the cover, because you want it to get nicely tanned and crispy because of the heat. You see, I spreaded all of this. Now, you see that most of the parsley didn't come on the top, so I'm going to do this and just pick up all this schmutz like that. I'm going to put it on the top, and this one goes to the oven. So I'm not going to put it in the oven because it will not be ready in time. However, as you can see, these are ready. And these are very nice. And they are really best served, really best served. Really good. Best served hot. That's it with the potato. After the potato, the next thing on the menu is one of my favorite desserts. Again, very, very easy.
Just a minute, Nitrita is asking for how long do you have to cook it uncovered?
Half an hour. Approximate. Half an hour. You will see when it's 10 at the same temperature. Okay, so again, if I will rate it, the potato dish is very nice. It's a change. It's very nice if you're entertaining, but it's not a miracle because at the end, potato is a potato. You know, you cannot make out of potato is a potato. Like I never had the dream to play professional basketball because I know that I don't have the height to start with. Right, so the next one is really a favorite of mine. First of all, I'm going to take the bowl. I'm going to remove these because these are definitely not helpful for the next dish. The next dish is really great. So, what do we have? Let's see. This is not part of today. We have the eggs. Okay. So the first thing, as we go, I'm going to take the chocolate. I think it was 7 ounces of chocolate. And what was it? Half of a butter or a third?
3 tablespoons.
3 tablespoons of which I think it's a third of one this. And we use 7 ounces of chocolate. Now, if you look closer at my chocolate, look how ugly it is. Now, this is one of the best chocolates actually, and one of the best, my secrets. This chocolate is, one second, the lens I thought was dirty. So this chocolate I get from Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's sell half a kilo, 500 grams of their Swiss chocolate, raw, like dark chocolate. They have dark, they have extra dark, and milk. And I use this chocolate as a base for everything that I do chocolate. Even if I enrich it with cocoa butter, sometimes I do, I will always use it. Now, why this one looks like that? Because when I'm doing chocolates, I temper the chocolate. And this is a big discussion by itself. But after you temper a chocolate, the chocolate that was not tempered, meaning that it was melted, but not in the right way, it didn't solidify in the right way, it will look ugly. Sometimes it will have streaks. If you remember, sometimes a chocolate that you forgot in the car in the summer, you took it out, it was melted, then it comes back with all the streak. This is the sugar bloom. So yeah, when you eat it, it feels like crummy because the chocolate went out of temper. However, it's perfectly fine for eating. It's just that the structure of the chocolate went out of whack. This didn't go out of whack. This did, as you can tell. But for this purpose, it doesn't matter because once you melt it, the molecule structure goes back to all the crystalline structure goes back to the original, and because we are mixing it anyway with butter, it's not a chocolate anymore. So I'm putting this in the microwave, and this is a tricky business because you don't want to scorch the chocolate. So I'm going to take this, and this I'll have to put an eye on. So I'm going to put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and see what's happening. Maybe I'll add the butter at the end. Because the butter is going to make much quicker. But you know what? Let's see. So why did I debate with myself regarding to put the butter with the chocolate or not? It's because this is not the regular, typical good way to melt chocolate. You want to do it on a bain-marie, meaning that you have a pot and inside with water and another pot, and then the temperature doesn't exceed boiling water, and then you don't scorch the chocolate. And this is the right way to do it. However, because of time restrictions, we're going to do it there. Here, in the meantime, I'm going to mix the sugar and the eggs. So I'm going to put the sugar in. I'm going to break the eggs in. And I'm going to whisk it very nicely. I'm going to also add a little bit of vanilla because everybody loves vanilla. And we were putting like 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And we mix it like this, as best as we can. We want to froth it. We want it to be as light and airy as we can. Okay, so we do it like this. Take a look. Yeah. So as I said, the butter almost melted. Okay, so the butter almost melted. Actually, the butter melted and became very hot. And this is how, now I know the answer. It is better to put it with the butter. And the reason is the chocolate has a higher temperature for melting than butter. So it takes longer, but you take the risk that you will scorch the chocolate if you only do the chocolate. However, if you use the chocolate and the butter heat up more because it melted sooner, and then it's easier to melt the chocolate. And this is a much better and less brutal way to melt the chocolate. Okay, so it's going to melt in a few seconds. I can put it in the microwave for another second. Another thing that I wanted to tell you about using the microwave for chocolate. When you're using a glass container to melt chocolate in the microwave, the glass gets very hot. And again, you're risking scorching the chocolate. So in general, if I ever melt chocolate in the microwave, I prefer plastic. Okay? And this is ready. So the chocolate is ready and I'm leaving it here in the meantime. I'm going to mix this well here. Then we have here 2 things. Okay? No cocaine here, it's only baking powder and the right thing. So we take the baking powder, remember as I said, and I'm going to mix it with this. This is ground as much as we can almonds. So you can already, you can buy almond flour, but I like this is a little bit more coarser and you want it that way. We mix this together. Remember that we said that we always want to mix the dry by itself and then mix it with the rest, like this. And then this is done. We're going to froth it a little bit more and then we're going to mix the whole thing together. Let's see. Now, even if there is a tiny chunk in the chocolate, that's perfectly fine because we are going to add chunks to this scene. Wait, let me separate here. Now, yeah. The berry one, which is going to be for that purpose, chocolate. All right, so we take this and we mix it into this. And we want to do it quickly because well, it will not solidify because of the butter. So ignore what I said. We're going to mix the whole thing together. And again, you can tell that everything here is delicious. I mean, how can something not delicious can come out of this thing? We have a little bit of this and we mix it. See? We mix it, we mix it, we mix it. Adas. Now I'm going to add this. Only this. There is not a lot of it. See, no flour. No matzah meal, no cake meal, matzah cake meal, or whatever it was, and this is what we want. And this is very, very, very liquid. So you see, very, very, it's tough to work with. There is a remedy for that. So then I took chocolate and I just chopped it with a knife and made chunks. You don't have to do this, but imagine what happens in your mouth Imagine what happens in your mouth when you're eating a cooked chocolate cookie and suddenly you get this chunk. Ah, delicious. We add this right here. And this is going to help us also solidify the cookies. You see? Now, if you don't want to mess with cutting chocolate, you can use chocolate chip chips. However, it's not the same flavor. So if you really want good chocolate, milk dark or extra dark, always go to Trader Joe's. And this is ready. See, now, if it's this is too soft to really work with and to do things, but I'm going to do it anyway.
So
you can put in the refrigerator or in the freezer for a few minutes to be better. What do you think of that? Should I do it with this or should I? We have time?
I would stick it in
the freezer for a second?
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I have an idea. So, what am I going to do? I need to cool this thing as fast as I can. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some here. I will not put the whole thing. That's it. And I'm going to spread it as thin as I can. As thin as I can. See? Like that. As thin as I can. And I'm going to stick this in the freezer. So because there is a lot of surface area, this is going to cool much faster as if I put it just in a bowl. You just need to find a place.
So if you're not rushed for time, you would just put it in the fridge for a couple hours?
No, a couple hours.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
No, in the fridge. Yeah.
In the fridge?
Yeah.
You can fridge it and put it indefinitely, and then it will be much easier to work with. So as this thing is cooling in 5 minutes, it's going to be ready, if not less. I'm going to start with the charoset. Now, let me tell you something about charoset. And it's funny. If you Google charoset in English and put the images, you'll see that all the charoset from English look kind of the same. You see chopped apples and applesauce and other ingredients, but you can see that it's chopped and it's different consistency. If you write charoset in Hebrew, everything will look completely different. It will look like a paste. Now, for years, I made the charoset for the synagogue when I did the second Seder, and I did it. And even before that, I was a charoset responsible. And I used dates that are already peated, and it's like a paste, very, very thick one. And the charoset that I used to make, I didn't use any recipes. So I put it and pasted it and got something that I liked, and it was always good. To a degree, different. But because I wanted to make a class, I had to come with a recipe. I had to make a recipe so you can do it. And actually, it will be much easier for me because I don't have to taste it all the time. However, what happened was that I got a different charoset, different color, and different consistency. And I think this is much better than the one before that was very good, I think, but very, very strong and concentrated. This is going to be much lighter. I'm going to take the food processor, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do here. So the color of the charoset will vary depending on the ingredients that you're going to put in. This charoset is not only for Pesach. What you're going to get, the paste that you're going to do, you can put it in a yogurt, and it's going to be delicious. You can put it on a bread with butter or with anything. And it's healthy, and you'll see what I'm putting in. So, now, everything is flexible. This is 1 cup of mix of peated pistachio and pecans. I like pistachio and I like pecans, so I'm going to put it here. I know that we wrote optional half a cup of almonds, but I found out that it's quite almost necessary because especially if you're using the pecan and this, they have a strong flavor and you do need this. Or use 1.5 cups of this mixture. So I'm going to put it in. To this you add 2 cups of pitted dates. So this is the first time, actually, this experience, I've done it before this week, but this is the first time actually I'm taking dates and removing the pit, because I didn't know if you are going to be able easily to find the paste. They make like a paste of pitted dates. It's like dark and almost black, and it's very, very sweet, much sweeter than those regular dates. Now write down, if you want, the best dates for eating, well, that you can get here at least. They called Majul dates. These are not as good as they used to be a few months ago because we didn't close the container and they dried out a little bit. This may affect the how quickly it's going to be done here. As I'm putting this thing in,
Maybe just maybe
Yeah,
you
that
want
I want
to check on the
this
boikos.
Aboikos are good, and this, yeah, a little bit more. Right, so we add dates like this, as quick as possible. I'm doing it like that. I'm opening them, and the reason I'm opening them, and you know what, if you could a little bit chop it before, it would be even easier, because I bet that the food processor will get soon very, very angry trying to chop the whole thing in. Now, if you chop it like that, it may be more difficult. Then, if you add the applesauce, this is the secret ingredient here, because everything here is very concentrated and very, very relatively dry. So the almonds and this are very dry, and the dates are dry too. If you're going to crush this, nothing, you can really not do anything with it. So I will put at least 1 cup of applesauce. Now, I bought the apples. If you buy the applesauce, please buy with no added sugar for many reasons, obviously. But the main reason, at least for that, other than health, is that you don't need any more sweet. Everything here is sweet. I mean, not everything. The almonds, no, but the dates are very, very sweet. We have that. And now, optional, not optional, you can add Manischewitz. Now I say optional, even though it's no, Charoset, the Sephardi Charoset always have the Manischewitz. I made with the Manischewitz. I want to make this one without the Manischewitz. We are going to use this for a different purpose. So this I'm not adding it. Let's pretend that I added it. So I'm going to put this. This is the whole thing. You take that. What did I need?
Honey.
Honey. Yes, honey.
Honey.
So honey, okay, so again, I'm going back to the color. Usually my charoset is much darker because I'm using dates honey.
Maybe you want to show them the dates
Where is
honey.
it?
And then
Okay, dates honey. Let me see.
on the left side.
On the left
No,
side.
on other.
You can guess who is cooking here by the way that I'm looking.
So just they're just behind the soy sauce, and yeah.
Right. So look, it says date molasses. Everything is in Arabic, of course. And this, you see how dark it is? This is almost black. So, and I'm using honey, which is much lighter in color. Now, as you all know, Israel had the 7 things that was blessed with,
7 kinds.
the 7 kinds. So obviously honey was one of them. Like I think I mentioned on Tu B'Shvat. It was not really honey. They meant honey from dates. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of this. We had the big, larger 2 tablespoons. Remember?
It's in the dishwasher.
In the dishwasher. So again, because this is not a science and it really doesn't matter that
You can
much,
use this.
that's fine. I know approximately.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm putting here 2 tablespoons. This is 2 tablespoons. Approximately. A little bit more, a little bit less. Now I'm putting it in, and I am a little bit nervous because this is going to work very hard. 1, 2, 3, go.
It's fine. It's fine.
Wait, so it got stuck.
Right.
No problem. Again,
Yeah.
we had this issue before. We'll fix it. We will fix it. So again, we have to take everything out. Yeah, it happened when we did it before, but that's what it is. This has butter. This thing has butter in it.
Yes.
Yes. No good. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put everything back. And I'm going to do a second try. This time, I'm going to try with pulses. And these are different dates than I used before. The dates that I used before were much juicier. Okay. Pulses will do it. What happened? Again, it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, we won.
Maybe it's a sign that we.
No, but this wouldn't happen. You know, because I'm very stubborn. I'm going to fix it. Take a second. Do you have another board? Where is this one board? Ah, I have a solution. I have a solution. I'm going to turn this thing over. So I turned it over. I'm going to put this on top of that, like that, and I'm going to chop it by hand. I mean, with a knife. Like that. But before I do that, I'm going to chop it, of course, but before that, we need to make the cookies because we want them to be ready. I'm going to push this in like that. I'm going to put this. Now, you see this? This is already like a paste. And this is ready to go. Is the oven still? 350, yes. Okay, so I'm going to take these. Now, if I will touch it with my hand, this is going to stick to my hand like a glue, you see? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to either use a spoon or a tablespoon, but we can use this for ice cream. And I need another spoon for that. Okay, so we take this, like that, we fill it in, like that, and we release it, like that. Now, look how it looks. It looks like a ball, and that's it, but it's going to be quetched. Look at this piece of the chunk. You see this chunk? This is going to be incredible, this chunk in your mouth. Okay, we put it like that. Now, if you don't have this, you can either use 2 spoons and but this is a little bit bigger, but never mind. We don't have the time to be precise now. This is going to be huge. Now, the good thing about this one is that you have to put it exact time. Now, this is another one of the things that you really have to be precise when you bake it. And the reason for that, and this is very important, you can bake it fully. Like usually we bake cookies until they are really hard and ready. This one is different. In this one, there is no flour. There's only light ingredients. Actually, the only thing really that has to be completely ready is the egg inside, and you want to heat it to the right temperature. But other than that, nothing. So what you're going to do, you have to put it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for exactly 8 minutes. No minute more, no minute less. And I'll tell you this. What?
No, this is 9 already. The other cookies we were talking about.
So
that's ready, actually.
So this is ready. So I'm going to take this one out. Well, if you could smell what's going on here, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah. 3:40.
9 minutes.
3:45.
5, 4,
9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so look how nice they are. Now, I am going to open the guy. I'm going to open this guy in the center. This was the giant one.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember. You see this guy? This is the big one. And you have the olive inside. Now, on a side note, it looks like it's not ready, but it's ready. Only because the cheese are so, you see, it's ready. I
Yeah,
would go.
You have
how
to
much-
let it.
you have to let it cook.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the thing is with this one, because so many things inside are so soft, when it's hot, so the butter is melted, the mozzarella is melted, so it's very, very soft. Once it gets room temperature, it's solidified. So don't be fooled and think, hey, it's soft, it's not ready yet. It is. Stick to the time. How much time we put it? It was 45, 30
30
minutes?
to 40 minutes.
30 to
you
40
have to
minutes.
check.
40 minutes, you put it at the right temperature, take it out, trust me. All right, so we have that. We are going back to this one that is giving us hard time. For that one, we need the knife that I can use. This one. I'm going to chop it as much as I can before it goes to the, because what happened, the big pieces of the dates are too big for the blade. And as a matter of fact, you know, this food processor is kind of old. We have it like, what, 10 years of us?
Yeah.
And it's used regularly, so maybe the blades are not as strong. So it tries to do it and it can't. Now I know it looks disgusting, but it's not. Okay. And anyway, we have to wait for the cookies to be ready. Please, 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 please try this. Now we may need, I will show you, because I made the recipe with different dates that were a little bit juicier. They had more moisture in them. So I may need to add some applesauce. So I will show you how it's supposed to look. And then you can tell if you want to add the applesauce or not. And you don't have to anyway, because it's a matter of flavor, whatever you like. So I'm going to go for another try. To give another few cups. Okay, so that's it. I would say that if you're doing this, try to find dates that are a little bit more moist, not the dry ones. Okay, and that's we have here. Like that. Am I the right spot? Yeah. Great. You don't want to make more mess than I already made here. That I'm responsible for. Okay, we have this. We have that. Let's cross our fingers and see if it works. So, yeah. Again, I'm going to go gentle with pulses. That one gives us a hard time. But anyway, because the cookies are still in the oven and we have 10 minutes, I'm going to make it happen. I know not to give up. Now, if this doesn't work, what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to add more applesauce. Even though I don't think this is the problem, I think we have a problem maybe with the food processor.
Yeah, maybe.
Because every time the blade jumps out.
Yeah.
This is an old food processor, even though it's a very good food processor. You know what will happen eventually? I think eventually I'll make the chavosset by hand. By the food processor.
Yeah.
But this is not the right consistency. It really needs to be like a paste. And for that, you really need. Now, if I had more time, I would probably throw it in the meat grinder. The meat grinder will do the job also. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah. So, in the meantime, as I do this, let me talk to you a little bit about Pesach and how do we need to kosher the things. So, in general, because you know some things you have to do by fire, you probably learned it in Hebrew school, and something are by water. And the rule is they made the rule of thumb. The way that it accepts it, this is the way that it releases it. What does it mean? Things that you are using it with water, then you boil with water. Things that you are using with fire, then you have to use with heat. And things that are cold, well, let's say a bowl that you eat in it yogurt. And in the yogurt you put some, let's say, oats. How do you kosher a bowl like this? Well, that depends if you're Ashkenazi or Sephardi. The Ashkenazi usually are tougher. As you know, most of you are Ashkenazi, you don't eat rice, you don't eat corn. You don't eat corn syrup. I'm a Sephardi, so I can't. So the Ashkenazim are tougher than the. This is even worse. It's worse because I didn't put the blade.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So if you have something that was used for cold, you don't even need to kosher it, some will say. And the strict Sephardim will say, clean it as well as you can with the hot soapy water. As I said, some of the things you have to do with fire, and some of the things you have to boil. And if, let's say, you're boiling, you want to kosher a big pot that you use for boiling, how are you going to make sure that it's clean all the way to the rim? So I remember my childhood, my father would take all our pots. My mother didn't have two sets, didn't have room for two sets. So my father will go with me to Mea Shearim, the ultra Orthodox in Jerusalem, and they had their huge pots. And they would put your pot in their pot with the boiling water. And things that are not for cooking with water, like things that use fire, like barbecue, this you either do it with fire until it becomes red, and this is for a barbecue. And other things, let's say a tray, okay, that you put on it cookies and it's made from aluminum. This one, because it's not made with, it's not like a fire pot. This, you put it in the oven, you put on it a piece of paper at 400, 500 degrees. Once the paper gets dark, it's ready. I have a good feeling about it now. Yes. 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 We need to push it down a little bit. Let it go, but now it's soft enough. Now, it doesn't look nice. Trust me, this is very, very good. And the color depends a lot in what you're putting in. Again, if you put pecans and the almonds, then you won't have the greenish part that you got from the. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more of applesauce, and I'll tell you why. As you can see, it does get mixed, but it's a little bit dry. This is a charoset that is ready to go. You can see you have pieces. The green part is not parsley. Of course, it's the pistachio. This is ready to go. However, I want to make it even a thinner consistency. So why I didn't add this? I would add maybe 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. That's it. And see what happens. We don't need much. You add until you get the consistency that you want. Oh, cookies! Cookies are ready. This is ready also too. Let me put it for another second, then I will look. Okay, now check this thing out.
Whoa, well.
Okay, clear off. Wait, so now these things look much more appealing than the charoset, but the charoset is very tasty too in a different way. Now, if you look at it, if I just touch it, look, it breaks. Can you see that? It really breaks completely. It looks very, very soft, but it's ready. Okay, this is ready. Once it cool it and the chocolate solidify, the butter gets a little bit harder, then it will take it will be soft, succulent, and so delicious, no flour whatsoever. A killer. Let's go back to the charoset. And the charoset is ready. Now, this is the consistency. And and it's like a paste. Let me try this with the chocolate spoon. That's tasty. You know what? I prefer it without the wine. Right? So again, the wine is optional. Menishevich. Now, those who know my Karosek, you know that it looks very different than this one. That's it. Yeah. I'll put it in a bowl or in a container. Okay. Like so, we take this and we put it here. And as you can see, it looks like a paste. It's greenish, brownish, but that's because of the type of nuts. So sometimes you really need to ignore the looks and think about what is inside. And as you saw, inside these things are things that you really, really like on the day-to-day, and the combination together makes it very, very juicy. The applesauce make it very, very juicy. And this can hold in the refrigerator for a long time. Again, as a general rule, the more applesauce you put, the more moisture is inside and it will hold for less time. But I would say weeks at the minimum in the refrigerator. And again, you eat yogurt, you put the teaspoon. So what did we have here? We had the charoset, we had the boikos, and we have these cookies, and we have the potatoes. And this is how it looks before we put it in the oven. Great. And 1 second, we do that. Wait, Adas, we have to say, first of all, Toda to Adas that put her heart and her soul. And as I say always, nothing will happen without Adas. Anything in the house, of course. And now I'm ready for any questions.
Well, I'll share, there was a comment from Eileen saying that the cookies they made, I think we made it in a sisterhood Passover cooking thing
Yeah.
2 years ago, and just saying how great they are even all year, very delicious. So.
Yes.
And then a question from Sharon about the chocolate bar from Trader Joe's. Is it baking chocolate or eating chocolate or either?
It's yeah, we have. This is the regular chocolate bars. I would say in general, baking chocolate is not a good thing. Use this chocolate, and it's I think $3.99 or $4.99 for half a kilo, which is really not a lot. It's like $1 for 3 ounces. This is the chocolate. That's the dark chocolate. They have extra dark. They have extra dark at 72%. They have the milk, and it is absolutely, I'm telling you, great chocolate. I work with this chocolate. So yeah. Other questions? That's it.
People can just ask or type if you have.
Yeah.
Cantor, it's Bob. Cantor, can you freeze the karosas?
That's a good question. I don't see a reason why you won't be able to freeze a charoset. There is nothing there that you cannot freeze. And but again, when you do this charoset, you saw what happened with me. I had to work at it a little bit because the dates were very, very dry. You want to start with pulses and don't give up. If it doesn't go, just
we made it.
We just made it.
We
Well,
just made it. Well, it came out wonderful.
we put wine. We put
Wow.
We put a little
So,
bit of cheddar.
did you like it? Did you
Yeah.
taste it?
Yeah, very good.
Terrific, terrific.
Bob, you want to show us it?
What?
You want to show it to us?
Well, all right. He already put it in a sealed container, so we won't eat it before Passover.
I didn't hear you said he put it in his stomach. Where did he put it? Yes. Wow. Again, the color.
Very,
doesn't
very
say
good.
anything.
Tell him that we
Yes.
made it.
Roberta made
Yes.
it though.
I
Yes.
did.
Very, very good.
Yeah, it was
Wonderful.
good. We like it. We like it. Thank you.
Great, great. Any more questions?
He's making cheese balls. That he's gonna make.
Not tonight.
Not tonight, but he's gonna make it.
Wonderful. Well, I want to say, and that's too, of course, right? Thank you for everyone for joining in. Our next segment, I think, and Adas thinks too, the Yom HaAtzmaut one is going to be one of our best.
Yeah, very special.
Very
Yeah.
special.
Which one?
And again, we aim at easy, unique, and special. So Yom
What's the
HaAtzmaut.
date? What's
Say,
the
save the date, Thursday, April 15th. The flyer is going to come out next week. We're going to do the save the date and the announcements tomorrow.
April
Yes.
15th?
You're not
We're going
telling
to
us what you make.
Yeah, we're going
It's
to
going to
do
be a
cool stuff
celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut.
of Yom HaAtzmaut. So we will do things around meat, because in Israel everybody eat meat on Yom HaAtzmaut, but not everything will be meat, and it will be easy things that are wowing, that they are doing in Israel. We'll do that, and those of you who will join us for the Seder, second night on Sunday, we would love to see you.
Did you send out was the information sent out?
The flyer's coming in the announcements tomorrow, and then it'll be also in its own email tomorrow afternoon with a registration.
Okay.
and everything. Yeah.
Right, and New York Times front page, don't forget, for those who get it.
And the Jerusalem Post.
A Jerusalem Post, yes, but that gets 7 hours later, so earlier. Right. Wonderful. Oh, Fran, I'm very happy that you got the link. Good. Great to see you, Francine. Great.
And
Thank
just,
you,
just a reminder, within the week, these classes are always up on the website and the YouTube channel, so you could watch it again, slow, pause it, so when you're making it, you could make sure you get it right.
And like always, if you need anything, if you need help, if you are not sure about anything at all about this, I'm always available. And if you need those finger guards, let me know. I'll drop it in your house. One finger. Usually people cut this finger. This is the most miserable finger. And when you cut this finger, it's so bad. So you can put it only on one finger, and then you'll be safe. You can even, don't try with a chainsaw, of course, but regular kitchen knife will work. Wonderful. I wish you
Thank
Shabbat
you.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And love from the house of the Toren.
Laila tov.
Laila Tov.
Lila Tov.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everything looks great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.